All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Catherine, and I'm from SEB Housing. And tonight I'm going to run the lottery for the 36 affordable rental units at Waterstone in Dartmouth. And I'll get the lottery drawing underway in just a few minutes. But first, just want to say if you have any questions during the meeting, you can either unmute yourself or you can type your question into the Zoom chat. And when you came into the meeting, you were automatically muted just to minimize any outside noise. And the meeting's being recorded, as you heard, because it's going to be posted to SEB Housing's YouTube channel later on tonight if anybody wants to view it that wasn't able to make it. So first, I just want to give you some background information on who applied, the process from here on out. All this information is also going to be given to you in a document that will be sent to you after tonight, along with the waiting list. So everybody should already have their lottery application number. That's the number that's in the form of A dot, a series of numbers. So in this case, your number is between A dot 001 and A dot 0103. If you don't have it, let me know. Your number is going to be called versus your name for privacy purposes. So there's 36 total affordable units, 96 completed applications came in. So there's going to be 96 applicants in the lottery. The lottery application numbers go up to 103 because we needed to remove some duplicates, and there were some applicants who withdrew their application after the fact. So 96 applicants, 36 apartments. All of the apartments are 2 bedrooms. So back when you completed your lottery application, you indicated, and SEB Housing confirmed your household type as either a type 1 or type 2 household. So just keep in mind on these waiting lists, type 2 households, so usually that means larger households with more occupants, are going to have priority over any type 1 households on the waiting list. So that's because the affordable program is designed so that households don't have priority for units with more bedrooms than their family might actually require. There's also local priority or preference for some of the units. If you answered yes to the local preference question on the application, you will have preference on some of those units, on some of those waiting lists as well. There is one unit that is equipped with accessibility features for persons with disabilities. So households who indicated that they require the accessible features of that apartment will have priority over other households for that unit. So basically that is to say that after the drawing tonight or during the drawing tonight, you're not going to know for certain where you fall on any given waiting list, because I first need to sort the results onto the waiting list by household type and by priorities. So you will get an email from info@sebhousing.com tonight with the waiting list attached, with the sorted waiting list attached, and you'll be able to see where your lottery application number is at that point. So there's going to be 2 lottery drawings. The first is going to be the local preference drawing, where I am going to include the 32 local preference application numbers, and we'll do the drawing. And then the second drawing will be the general drawing that includes everyone, the 96 lottery household. I'm going to do this by using a website called random.org. So basically, that website will instantaneously generate a random order of the numbers. I'm going to demonstrate that now just so you can see how it will look. So I'm going to share my screen just so for a demonstration here. This isn't the drawing, but you'll be able to see kind of how it will look. So I'm just going to share my screen. I'm going to go to random.org. And you should be able to see the screen now. So this is just a really basic website, but it's used for these types of things. So if I click list randomize, when I copy and paste the lottery application numbers in here in a few minutes, they're going to be in the form that you're familiar with. So A.001 and so forth. For demonstration purposes, I'm just going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I click randomize, and it's going to instantaneously go ahead and spit the numbers back out in a random order. So that's how the drawings are going to be held tonight. And you'll be able to see the results on your screen. I'll be able to look up your lottery application number to tell you where it was drawn if you can't find it on the screen. But again, the results, the lottery drawing results that you see tonight on your screen are not going to be the final waiting list results, because I still need to sort them by preference and household type. So in just a few minutes, that's what the drawing will look like, or the drawings will look like. And after the lottery, like I said, you'll get an email from info@scbhousing.com. That will be from me, and it will have the waiting list attached. It'll give you more information on next steps, and you'll be able to find your lottery application number there. So when you get that email tonight, you're going to see that the top households on each waiting list are highlighted in green, and that's because those households are going to be invited to move forward right away to the next step in the process, which is to complete a lease application with the leasing office or the management team over at Waterstone. So your contact information is going to be shared with the leasing office or the management team over there, and you'll also have their contact information after tonight as well. So you'll be able to coordinate your lease screening with them, which is the next step in the process. Usually the lease screening involves, you know, reference checks, credit checks, that sort of thing. And if you are one of the households that is further down the list, that doesn't mean that you won't be called forward off of the waiting list. And I say that because, you know, even though there's only 36 units, more likely than not, they're going to need to screen more than 36 households to fill those apartments. There's going to be people who are no longer interested or not qualified or whatever it might be. So even if you're not one of the application numbers that's highlighted in green, you might be called forward later on. And of course, it's important to keep in mind that SCB Housing, so we have only completed your initial program screening based off of what you self-reported on your lottery application. So you haven't filled out any, you haven't submitted any pay stubs to us or verified any of the income information that you self-reported. So you will need to do that after you've been found lease eligible by Waterstone. So if you are found lease eligible after that screening, you'll be referred back to SCB Housing to complete the final program eligibility screening, which is when you'll be submitting pay stubs, tax returns, bank statements, that sort of thing. Every household who was found eligible for this lottery should have a copy or a link to the documentation requirements guide. And that was really just kind of a cheat sheet or packet for you to start to be able to gather some of the information that you're going to need to submit, like those pay stubs and tax returns and all of that. There has been some delays with the construction of this property. So I was under the impression that these units would be available, you know, in the summer or the early fall. It sounds like it's going to be more like late fall at the earliest. They do still plan to pre-lease the property. So you will be put in touch with the leasing office after tonight, but the units are not going to be ready for occupancy for several months. So just keep that in mind. And finally, just a reminder to anybody who ends up renting one of these affordable apartments, you'll need to do a recertification each year. So with the leasing office. So we always like to remind people that, you know, just kind of make sure that maybe 3 months ahead of your lease renewal date, you have information at the ready. You know, you're able to go online usually and get pay stubs and bank statements, and just keep your tax returns kind of filed away. So you have those, because you will need to access them to recertify your income while you're a program participant. All right, any questions before I move on to the drawings, I should say. I'm gonna get my stuff ready here. And first, we're gonna do the local drawing. So I'm gonna share my screen again. I'm gonna go to random.org again. question here, is it a 1-bath or 2-bath? So let me go back to the information packs to make sure. So it looks like we have it as 2 bathrooms. All the 2-bed units are listed as having 2 bathrooms. I'm going to triple check that for you, even though that's what we have in the information packet. Yep, all 2 baths. All right. So I'm going to share my screen now for you. All right. So you should be able to see random.org again. And I'm going to go down to list randomizer again. And I'm going to plug in the 32 lottery application numbers that belong to the households that identify themselves as having local preference. So these are households who either live in Dartmouth, work full-time within the town, or have children going to Dartmouth Public Schools. So I'm highlighting the 32 lottery application numbers for those local households, local preference households. And this is the drawing for the local preference. This is the local preference drawing for Waterstone and Dartmouth. So there's the 32 numbers here. I'm going to let you guys see those in just a minute, but first I'm going to copy and paste them onto my sheet here. Give me 1 second. Make it a little bit easier for everyone to read. I'm going to hide this so there's no confusion. And I'll come back to this. I'm going to save it. Just a quick reminder, on the local preference waiting list, everyone is going to have a position on that waiting list, not just households who have local preference. So there's going to be 96 households on the local preference list, but local preference households will have more favorable positions on the list. So just make sure that you're looking for your lottery application number on both the local preference and the general waiting list. So I'm going to move on to the general drawing now. This is the 96 numbers representing the 96 applications or applicants. I'm going to go back, just X out of list randomizer completely and go back in. And I'm going to now plug in the 96 numbers here that belong to all 96 households who applied and were eligible for this lottery. So I'm going to drop those 96 numbers here. And this is the general drawing for Waterstone and Dartmouth. So again, I'm just going to copy and paste all this info and get it into like a better, kind of an easier format to show on the screen. I'm going to hide this so there's no confusion. And now I'm going to save it and just kind of make it a little larger for you. So again, this is not the waiting list yet, but it's the drawing for Waterstone Dartmouth. So there's only, I think there's 11 of you on the call. I'm going to scroll through. This is the general drawing here. I'll scroll through, but if you don't see your application number, or if you want me to look it up for you, you can drop it into the chat, or you can unmute yourself if you don't have access to that. So I'm just scrolling down to 96 now so you can see all of the application numbers and the order that they were drawn for the general drawing. And what I'm doing after this call is I'm taking all of these results, so the lottery drawing results, and I'm using them to sort onto the waiting list. Because right now we don't know, if the person that was drawn first in the lottery, we don't know if they're a type 1 or a type 2 household. If they're a type 1 household, they're still going to be much further down the waiting list. So I'm going to go back up to the top, and then I'm also going to go over to the local drawing here. So these are the local preference results here. There's only 32 numbers on this one. So again, if anybody wasn't able to see their number, or if you just want me to confirm for you, go ahead and let me know your lottery application number. Either type it into the chat or unmute, and I can take a look for you. And if not, I will be sorting the results, like I said, and you'll get the email from info@scbhousing.com with the waiting list attached. And at that point, you'll be able to see, where your number was, where your number fell on the waiting list in relation to everybody else in the lottery. All right, if everybody saw their number, then I'm going to work on the sorting of the results. And like I said, you'll get an email from me tonight with those waiting lists attached. And if you have any questions on it, or if you're having trouble reading it or anything like that, please let me know. And we'll be in touch very soon. Thank you all for your attention. Be in touch soon.